Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Bhava Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Hari
Jaya Radha Kunjabi, Jaya Radha Kunjabi, Jaya Radha.
Jai Jagannath Jai Balaji Mai Subhadra
Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra.
Jai Srinath Ji Jai Balagopal Jai Srinath Ji Jai Giri Govardhan
Jaya Srinath Ji, Jaya Balagopal, Jaya Srinath Ji, Jaya Govardhan.
Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jai Gaurani Jai Jai Gaurani Jai
Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai.
Prabhupada 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Vishnupad Janamahansa Bhrivrana Astora Satashi Shimada Divine Grace, founder of Iskana Bhai, Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Nityalila Prabhupada Vishnupad Paramahansa Bhrivrana Astora Satashi Shimada Divine Grace, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Their most merciful Lordship Shri Shrikunja Bihari Ki Shri Jagannath Shri Baladeva Subhadra Ki Shri Mataji Shri Balagopal Ki Shri Gauranitai Ki Nitai Go Prem All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the Lord, Spirit of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. attendance yesterday. Text 13 and 14, right? That was yesterday?
15.
We're on 15 today.
14, 15. Yeah. 13, 14.
13 and 14 today? Done, yeah. 15.
15 and 16.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki. We're reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 15, which does not have a purport. So I'll read the Sanskrit and the verse, and then we can do Text 16 together. Mahashishunam nidhanam sitanam nisyami goram pratipapyamana tadarudad vashpakala kulakshi tam santayan aha kiritamali. Translation. Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus. Tada suchas te pramrajami badre. Tada suchas te pramrajami badre. Yad Brahma Bando Sira Atataina. Yad Brahma Bando Sira Atataina. Gandiva Mukter Visikir Upahare. Gandiva Mukter Visikir Upahare. Twakramya Yat Snasyasi Dagda Putra. Twakramya Yat Snayasi Dagda Putra. Tadasuchaste pradrijami badre. Yad Brahma Bando Sira Attatinya. Kandiva Mukter Visikir Upahare. Twakramya Yatsnanya Siddhagda Putra. Tadasuchaste pramrijami badre. Yad Brahma Bando Sira Atataina. Gandeva Mukter Visikir Upahare. Twakramya Yachnas Yasi Dagda Putra. Kada suchaste pramijami badre. Yad Brahma Bando Sira Ataitayina. Gandiva Mukter Vishikir Upahare. Twakramya Yatsnas Yasi Dagda Putra.
Tada suchaste pramijami bhadre.
Tada Suchaste Pramrijami Badre.
Yad brahma bandho sira atatayina.
Yad Brahma Bando Sira Atatayina.
Kandiva mukte vishikairupahare.
Gandiva Mukter Vishikirupahare.
Twakramya yatsnasya siddhata putra.
Twakramya Yachnas Yasi Dagda Putra. Tada Suchaste Pradrijam Badre. Yad Brahma Bando Sira Atatayana. Gandiva Mukter Vishikirupahare. Twakramya Yatsnas Yasi Dagda Putra. Tada! At that time only. Sucha, tears and grief. Te, your. Brahmajami shall wipe away. Badre, O gentle lady. Yat, when. Brahmabando of a degraded Brahman. Sira, head. Atatayana, of the aggressor. Gandiva Muktai, shot by the bow named Gandiva. Visikai, by the arrows. Upahare, shall present to you. Twa, Akramya, Twa, yourself. Akramya, riding on it. Yat, which. Snasyasi, take your bath. Dagda Putra, after burning the suns. Tada Suchaste Pramrijami Badre. Yat Brahma Bando Sira Tayinya. Kandeva Muktir Vishikir Upahare. Twakramya Yatsnas Yasi Dagda Putra. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahman, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. Please repeat. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahman, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahman, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. Purport by Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. An enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunders wealth, or usurps agricultural fields or entices one's wife is called an aggressor. Such an aggressor, though he be a Brahmin or a so-called son of a Brahmin, has to be punished in all circumstances. When Arjuna promised to behead the aggressor named Ashvatam, he knew well that Ashvatam was the son of a Brahmin. But because the so-called Brahmin acted like a butcher, he was taken as such. And there was no question of sin in killing such a Brahmin son, who proved to be a villain. Om Agyanatamanandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshushu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. See, it's hard for me to even talk about this because the children are the future. And what this is speaking of, the killing of someone who brings such kinds of destruction, is not considered sin, because taking the life of someone who's doing such activities is protecting those in the future who would otherwise be the subjects or objects of the destruction of the person who's committing the act. So these similar acts had already been done to the Pandavas over and over again. Their lives were being threatened continuously by the Kauravas. And it was their responsibility, their rightful responsibility as holders of positions as Kshatriyas to govern and to hold political leadership positions for society to be benefited and to be protected from the very kind of thing that's being revealed here, which the act reveals the heart of the perpetrator of the crime, one whose heart has in their minds to destroy, disregarding all laws of justice, then must be stopped, as this purport says, must be stopped. But we can see in society, the society now that is functioning, so many similar crimes have been committed and not stopped. And not stopped. So now we have in our society running rampant crime. But we have not only obvious crime going on, just like we were talking about, and Mother Kishore was bringing out, that there are laws even regarding to wars, that when they involve themselves in wars, even by the world standards, there are laws set, which are like lines drawn that nobody crosses. And if they do, it means that they must be brought to an end immediately. This is for the protection of society. What we don't see for the most part is human beings sharing the same physical kind of bodies that people are being sentenced to judgment of death by, is that these forms of punishment are actually extensions of God's own mercy. Whatever punishment we receive here for those deeds we have performed here reduces the amount of suffering needed to restore us to a sane state of mind. What happens when you perform a certain activity over and over and over again? You become so accustomed to doing it, it becomes what we call habit. So there are habits that souls develop through lifetimes, and thinking processes as well that animals develop against their enemies, that the death process doesn't necessarily end. When they are in animal bodies, those activities are not being considered sin because they're in that kind of a body. So when they do finally reach the stage of human being, some of them still are holding those animalistic propensities. And when it's carried out in a human form, then it becomes a degradation to humankind. We don't know as well. Here it is being pointed out, never should a Brahmin be killed. But even if he commits an act against the laws of God, then he must be killed as well. So what this is saying is that one who is in a particular status of life, that soul becomes representative of that position he's taking part in. So just like someone who is put in a leadership position to represent people, he is looked at, or that particular person who was appointed to represent them, as the best chosen of that group of people. And this is what is meant by the word Brahman. It's supposed to be. But when so-called Brahman acts without practicing the laws of Brahminical nature, then he disqualifies himself from becoming a Brahmin. So now, this statement by Arjuna, Jai Shri Radha Jai Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Shri Gauranga. This statement made by Arjuna that I will kill him. One's words in Vedic culture are considered so significantly the truth. Whatever comes out of a Brahman's mouth is decided to be established truth. When the Pandavas were making their journeys, and Draupadi was the son of, Draupadi was the wife of Arjuna, right? When they returned from their journey, Arjuna made mention to his mother, referring to his wife, I have found such a bounty, something to that end. His mother's words being considered so strictly truth when she said, share your bounty with your brothers. That made her the wife of all the 5 Pandavas. That was how powerful it was recognized as truth being spoken by a Brahmin. And she was a woman, but nevertheless, truth was recognized as that powerful. So, a lot of people see Krishna consciousness as a patriarchal society based on the ideas of men. But as we see in that statement by Mother Kunti, that a woman's position is very much recognized in society. In fact, you could say the Bhagavad Gita was spoken on a battlefield that was brought together. Millions and millions of warriors were brought together. Why? Because the straw that broke the camel's back was them wanting to see Mother Draupadi, disrobed in front of everyone. And so that was the cause, that was the ultimate end that nobody could put up with anymore. So that brought about the war. So this is in respect of womanhood. And so we see established by Krishna consciousness the proper manner and etiquette of all members of society, not just men, but also, and revealed by the lifestyles of the members of that society, Queen Kunti, Mother Draupadi, and so many others, Mother Gandhar. So they reveal the standard that is practiced by the lifestyle. And we see that the laws that are given for the protection of society, and that if they are not obeyed, what we have come to now, I don't know. See, this Ashwatam, this is probably one of the most heinous crimes that could be committed, that he did, killing these children in their sleep. I mean, it's really cowardice if you think about it, for a Kshatriya who is trained and whose treasure is his ability to try and act like such a coward, to kill people in their sleep. This is just so abominable, so degraded. Yet, Krishna, revealing his own mercy as well, is going to allow Ashwatam in the future to become Veda, the giver of the Veda, the speaker of the Vedas. So, see, this happened 5,000 years ago. So just as we are making gradual process within the 100-year span of our lives, we hope to come to perfection before that 100 years have expired. And so, even though we may see this act as the most heinous act that can be committed, and which is requiring the death of the person who takes part in that act, we can see nevertheless, by the knowledge we are being given from Krishna himself, that even the most degraded souls can be brought up to the highest platform of consciousness of love of God. He did that also with Hiranyakasipu. He did that also, and with his brother Hiranyaksha. So they were given relationship to Krishna in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Jagaya Madai. So they were there from the beginning, and yet they, by Krishna's mercy, were allowed to take birth 3 different times, and then finally even to gain pure love of God. So in a sense, we can look at this for our own example and say, well, you know, I've condemned myself in so many things in my life, the activities I've engaged in, and how bad we might think our own activities are in the eyes of Krishna, rightfully so. But we see here from example, I don't know of any of us on the planet even, that we don't even hear of in common day, people killing babies. Well, yeah, we do hear that going on. I guess actually that is going on a lot in this age, but it's because it's not being stopped. They want to question the validity of capital punishment. And the reason the question is there is because it seems without mercy. Because with people who believe that this life is all there is, then there could be no way that killing someone could be an act of mercy. But with those who know that life is not ended at the changing of bodies at the end of this usefulness of this body, life continues. And so the force that caused this body to come into being is continuing throughout our life, which it was doing in the life prior to this to enable us to come to this point, is still continuing to make us another body in the future. And so dependent upon our activities here and the reactions we receive from those activities, then that will determine what form of suffering or benefit or reward we will get at the end of this life. So if administering the punishments given by Krishna's own statutes, a person is then relieved from having to suffer those punishments after leaving. That doesn't mean they won't have any suffering to go through, but it is a form of mercy that enables the soul to be relieved to some extent. And then, for the most part, a lot of people facing death, knowing death is coming, they come to the realization of the fact that they've committed a mistake, and this is meant to draw us towards repentance, asking for forgiveness. In this day and age, though, people are considering themselves entitled, which means they don't owe anybody anything. This is the mentality that's being brought forth into the world today. We are entitled for everything to be provided for us without doing anything for it. This is ridiculous nonsense. But the soul that engages in Krishna consciousness, that activity is not an activity. The activity they engage in spiritual energy, is not material activity. In a sense, a devotee is doing nothing in the material world, in the material sense of things. And yet Krishna provides everything, but they don't have the mentality, it is owed to me. Same thing when we're leaving our bodies. I said one time to Chaitanya Rupa, I was revealing to him what, out of Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami, being personal associate of Lord Chaitanya, had personal realization and knowledge given to him directly from Lord Chaitanya of all the benefits given to us by taking part in these acts. Not to think that by taking part in these acts that we are owed something from Krishna, but to reveal to us as an impetus, to say, just look what Krishna is going to do for you after this life simply by engaging in these deeds that are of normal nature. I told Chaitanya Rupa some of these benefits. He said, he better give me that. Oh. So, see, we can't hold that kind of consciousness towards Krishna. But his manner of life is such. Everything that comes out of Chaitanya Rupa's mouth is jokingly. He's always kidding and speaking things. But see, if we take them wrongly, we have to understand devotees' meanings of what they're saying. So, once a person has established a relationship with Krishna for 15, 20, 30, 40 years, they're going to be having a closer friendship with him than someone who has immediately come to the movement and seeing that relationship as normal, as ordinary. So, what senior devotees may express, we have to be careful not to misinterpret their heart's intent, their heart's desire. But we also are walking on a tightrope, so to speak, because it's very easy to commit offenses without even realizing we're doing that. And just by the mistaken mispronunciation of a word, we can cause the complete opposite effect that we want. When Hiranyakasipu was engaged in bringing a son into this world because the process was so known by him, how to bring a son that he wanted to bring, to kill his enemy. But by mispronunciation of the mantra he spoke, he brought rather a son that would kill the enemy of his enemy. So the enemy of his enemy was he himself. See how that is? And so he ended up being killed by that which he himself spoke as truth. So that was the power of the spoken word during these ages. Now truth has not the same significance. By the entirety of the karma being accumulated, by the entirety of the planet, then even those following in the truth don't get the same benefit as they would in a previous age, jumping immediately into the truth. It's been succumbed by sinful activity. And this is why devotees' activities are so important, because every time we convince a soul of the superiority of Krishna and they surrender, just imagine, every soul you convince and persuade that Krishna's ways are superior, you not only save that soul from the painful end their life would otherwise give them, but every soul they would also affect in their future had you not brought them to the awareness of the truth. So every soul you save, you can realize, is actually effectively saving many other souls. And when we talk about, okay, if I talk to one person today, and they talk to another person today, so they are an extension of my extension, and this is going on through everything that's going on in the world. One person talks to another, their influence goes to another, We are actually connected to the whole world. Every one of us are connected to each other worldwide. You know 10 people I don't know. He knows 100 people I don't know. They know 1,000 people I don't know. And we've all got connections to each other. We've been in this process of birth, death, old age, and disease since time immemorial. Without beginning, we can't even trace it. It goes back so far to know where our beginning started. And through that time, we have so, over the years, developed all these habits that we still have in our minds, forming thoughts, drawing conclusions about events in our life. Even we're using things in this world not knowing it is to our own detriment. So this manufacturing process now that has developed over the last few hundred years of creating things for the benefit of mankind, to make make life easier. So this morning, right, we have these containers that we pour fluids into to hold the nectar. Some of them are made of aluminum. Aluminum is so poisonous to the body, it is outlawed in every European nation. They won't let any aluminum be used. Why? Because it has been shown, and some of these tests are being hindered because of the wealth and the control that these manufacturing corporations have over the general populace of people. People use power to gain more power, not for the benefit of society at large, but for their own greedy desires. So the manufacture of these aluminum utensils, once you put an acidic fluid into it, the absorption of the aluminum happens. And you can see if you make a cake with any kind of acidic ingredient in it. All around where the cake touches the aluminum will be a gray color. And once that gray color gets in your body, you cannot get it out. There is a means of removing radioactive particles from your body using specific kinds of bleach, chlorine. But you cannot get aluminum out of your brain. And they know this to be a cause of Alzheimer's. Yet it still continued to be used as a product for cooking acidic foods. It's crazy. We're killing ourselves as a society by denying the laws of God, and we are destroying our ability to gain knowledge in so doing. This Alzheimer's disease, I mean, there's several ways of looking at it. From one perspective, it's people killing themselves by the destruction of the brain with the use of these materials that are not good. On one hand, we can say in the spiritual world, there could be no means of being able to do that because everything's made of the same substance. It's all made of eternal, it's full of knowledge, and it's bliss. But here, we have people so intent on creating wealth that becomes more important to them than the welfare of other living entities that are sharing the same environment with them. So this is a destructive force that has been in people's minds birth after birth after birth after birth, that their existence becomes more important to them than the existence of others. Then on the other hand, we have saintly souls who would give up their life for the protection of others. You see, it's completely contrary, completely opposite. And how, in a reasonable person's mind, can people reason that they both produce the same end? If you go about causing harm in this world, or if you go about causing goodness for everybody, you're going to get the same result. Basically, this is the atheistic perspective when you think about it. Because what harm would it do for you to just go about destroying everything in this world if there is no God? There is no reaction then. Death is just the end. And what kind of hope would that be for you to have any desire to bring people into the world? To just suffer, go through all this suffering for nothing, basically. All the labors of the world would then be done for nothing. Everything you've done in this life, if there is no God, would be for nothing, wouldn't it? You reasonably analyze. You could say, ultimately, maybe, if you did something good, it could be for the welfare of others who would come. But what is their end? If their end is nothing too, it's all for nothing. So without God and the knowledge of God, laws make no sense. Laws are just a restriction upon man's abilities to perform certain deeds that one man thinks this is necessary, another man thinks this is necessary. One man says killing for this reason is good, another man says killing for that reason is bad. So who's going to be the determining factor? And this is the war that's going on in the world. I'm right, no, I'm right. No, I'm right, no, I'm right. No, we're right, no, they're right. It's crazy, confused, total confusion. And the Bible points out God is not the author of confusion. So we are the ones making things confusing. We take something simple and complicate it. Just like the seed. The seed being given by Krishna. Krishna says, I am the seed-giving Father. He gives it in a perfect form with ability to replicate itself. And what does man do? No, I want to make it different. I want to change it. It has to be a little better. To suit the likings of my senses. This is a mentality of man. This is a mentality of modern production society. This is all the mentality of genetics. Things are not perfect. And we have to change them from our perspective of what perfect is. And that's where the problem lies. Because we all have, if we don't go by one supreme, then everybody's got a different perspective on what supreme is. And there's nothing left to do but argue about it. That's what the world is engaged in now. Trying to figure out right and wrong, they argue with each other. And whoever's argument makes the most amount of sense to them, then they accept it as true. This is what congressional meetings are all about. This is what their making of laws is all about. Arguing. Arguing to come to the conclusions of what is right and wrong. Why? Because they've lost their connection to God. God is not in those courtrooms anymore, for the most part. But the ways they have been conducting themselves, they've cut themselves off from that protection which the law gives. The laws of God give protection. The laws of man, which change God's laws, then they lead to death and destruction. Krishna is going to destroy it all eventually, but he shows us the way to preserve things also. But everything in this material world is made to be temporary. But it can be made to be transformed. The soul, that life form in the seed, when dealt with properly, then Krishna, rather than genetically change that seed to produce something else from its body, take the perfection that it's already in and offer that to the one from whom it came. He will make it better. Krishna will make things better. And so that's the process Krishna gives us in order to make things better. But we want to make our own way up. We want to make our own custom design our lives to suit the desires we have created from millions and millions of lifetimes, trying to find fun and propensities within the material energy. And it's a frustration. Every birth, every death ends in frustration that is not committed to the will and power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in effect, it's all for nothing. If they're not going to get back to the spiritual world, the whole life spent here was wasted. Wasted. Imagine the difference between the end of this life providing you an eternal dwelling with friends who share the same consciousness you have, who have also connected with the Supreme, who is all-powerful, has all knowledge. Just from the short period of time you spent on this planet, you gain an eternity. And compare that to the effects of an atheist who is, by his own words, every day stating, this life is all there is, and I will get nothing but death, buried in a hole. And the end result of that? Nothing. For nothing. Wasted. How can this be thought of as a moral, reasonable, ethical perspective on the human being's condition if it's all for nothing? Which basically is what atheism is saying about life. It's all for nothing. So we have made the choice to believe that life is for the greatest achievement possible. This human form of life that now is being given to us because of a long process of 8 million births we've had to go through to get to this stage. Now devotees have come to the realization of truth that this form that we have now reached, by grace and mercy of the Supreme Person who is in control of everything, revealing to us that he wants to give us everything he has. Everything available to Krishna. That's what Krishna is making available to all those who are going to Vaikuntha, to the spiritual world. What to speak of Goloka? Krishna, Goloka, Vrindavan. Prabhu, we are the most fortunate souls in the whole universe. We're the most fortunate souls in the whole universe to be brought to the realization of the treasure of love of God and to know he's going to give that to us in fullness. Just stay on the path. Perform these daily activities as we've been given, as required. And you will see and realize the fulfillment of more than your mind could have created as a benefit to you, for you, by the Supreme. Because the Supreme has more love for you and me than any of us can even imagine. Evidence of it is that he is sharing every single living body with every single soul. Wow. Krishna is amazing. More than can be put into words. About 5-2. Any comments, any questions, any realizations you'd like to share?
That was like a benediction.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing to be alive in a form that enables us to be able to enter into the eternal dwelling? And we've been given that gift. Someone could give you a trip to Disneyland once a month for the rest of your life. You get tired of it.
Right.
Pretty soon the rides will make you sick enough that you won't want to go on any of them anymore. You see the same faces over and over again, and they are materially motivated people wanting your money while you come there to support their job and give them a living to stay here for 100 years and then to pass it all for nothing. But Krishna is giving us an eternity, unlimited eternity with unlimited souls, with unlimited resources to travel and visit every planet in the Vaikuntha realm. But we know and have experience from our own experience of devotional service that every soul situated in that eternal relationship with Krishna, in every planet in that Vaikuntha realm, are so totally satisfied. They are situated in an eternal rupa form with Krishna that will not have to change, only by desire. Any comments, any questions, any realizations anyone like to share? Yes, ma'am.
When you were talking in the beginning of killing the Brahmana, like how Srila Prabhupada established like the morning program in the Tulsi Puja, because when we circumambulate Tulsi Marana, we sing that Yani Kana Chapapam. Right, so the translation was just trying to, is basically that by circumambulating of Shrimati Tulsi Devi, all the sins of that one may have committed are destroyed at every step, even the sin of killing the Brahmana.
That's such a wonderful point to bring out.
Becoming into this movement just by circumambulating, because we don't know what sins we've done in the past.
Exactly right.
My Tulsi Marana's mercy.
This This worship of Tulsi Maharani is so powerful. See, even Ashwatthama, the abominable acts he has committed, Krishna has made a way. Now Krishna, just imagine, look at me, I feel so bad that someone would think it wise to kill children like that in their sleep. And so if I, as a human being with such a limited amount of love, can feel that way, just imagine what Krishna, that act that Ashwatthama committed, just how much Krishna feels about that. And yet, he has made a way. This is to understand the volume of love, what love is. And Krishna has made a way for even such a participant of that to be so completely cleansed of that, never to be brought up again. That's amazing. Now, we don't know where Ashwatthama's mind is right now, whether he has been able to do that with Tulsi Maharani, to worship Tulsi Maharani. But very well, the fact that you're bringing this up means eventually, if he's going to come in contact with ISKCON, he will take part in the worship of Tulsi Maharani. And so even this, as abominable an act as it is, he will himself be evidence of the supreme, divine, all-inclusive love of the Supreme Person from whom everything has come. God. Thank you so much for reminding us of that. Because, you know, if you go out here and you tell people, oh, come and worship a plant with us, you'll get purified, they think you're crazy, you know. But see, we know the inside story. And that's the treasure of the Brahman. Knowing the inside story of all these things. Krishna is the inside story of our lives. He's the inside story of us. So when we know the inside story of us, we know the inside story of others also. Any other comments or realizations? Realizations are so wonderful. They bring us to the truth, to understand how other people's involvement with Krishna can help us understand Krishna better too. Shrimadbhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada.